Join the manhunt with John Walsh.
National Police Week, and all over the country, the somber sounds of the pipes and drums honor officers who've made the ultimate sacrifice, giving their lives in the line of duty. I'm here at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and all night we'll be honoring these fallen heroes. But right now, you can be a hero and help cops from all over the country find our first fugitive. Michelle Zagona has the story of a convicted killer who's used to living life looking over his shoulder.
How lucky can I be? No. I'm not no prison escapee.
This is how most people in the country met Richard McNair. Right after police say he escaped from a federal lockup in Pollock, Louisiana on April 5th, 2006. McNair was caught on this police dash cam tape just hours later, talking his way past this cop.
You got a cell phone with you? Oh, hell no. I don't even have a cell phone or anything. Just call 911 is all you got to do. They'll get a hold of us. All right.
But this wasn't the first time McNair wormed his way out of law enforcement's grasp. In fact, he has a long history of doing it. Long and violent. It began on a brisk night in 1987 when a 27-year-old McNair crept up to the Farmers Union grain elevator. At the time, McNair was leading a double life. By day, he served his country in the Air Force. But at night, police say he was nothing more than a two-bit thief looking for his next score.
Richard McNair was doing a series of burglaries. He was breaking into places that didn't really make any sense. Not any places where there was really a lot of money.
While McNair was looking for things to steal in the office, the grain elevator's manager, Richard Kitzman, received a call at home. A driver needed him to open the building so he could pick up a load of grain.
Sounds good. I'll probably have it open before you get there.
McNair could easily have slipped away unnoticed, but he chose not to because robbery wasn't enough for him.
He carried guns prior to doing these burglaries. He was in it for the thrill, the hunt, the excitement. And that don't make any sense to you and I, but Richard McNair was a thrill seeker.
And McNair's idea of a new thrill would be to unload his revolver into Richard Kitzman.
He looks up, sees McNair standing over the top of him. In fact, he can see the cylinder turning on this weapon. He puts his legs up, he puts his hands up, and gets hit once in the wrist and twice in the legs. There was enough blood for McNair to probably feel that he's done Mr. Kitzman in.
I kept my eyes open and I kept staring. I didn't blink, I didn't breathe, I just laid there. I wanted him to think I was dead.
Even 18 years later, the scars from that night still live right here in this room. Take a look at these drawers. These are the bullet holes that missed Kitzman the night that McNair shot him and left him for dead right here on the ground.
Heard him go out the door, and I waited. Probably was only a minute or two, and I got up, headed for my office, got on the phone, dialed 911.
There was just one thing between McNair and a clean getaway: the truck driver waiting to meet Richard Kitzman.
Once he got outside, he certainly could have avoided that truck driver by just heading off into the shadows.
But he didn't, because now McNair had a taste for blood. The truck driver never had a chance. He died on the spot. By the time police arrived, McNair had slipped away.
I think he was lost in life. He could have had a good career in the Air Force. He appeared normal to everybody. But he chose this path of burglaries and murder. There was something wrong. He was a sociopath.
Richard Kitzman helped police create this composite sketch of the man who shot him.
McNair told his captain at the base, he said, I look just like the composite. Why don't you turn me in and get the reward money? That's how brazen he was. He told his own captain that he looked like the composite drawing.
Any of his other co-workers on base suspecting? Did they
Not at all.
Anything was going on?
Not at all.
No one suspected McNair until several months later. That's when police received a tip about stolen property in a storage unit. Some of it came from the nearby Air Force Base where McNair was stationed. It turns out McNair had rented the unit under a false name.
An Air Force cop was smart enough to put it together that this is pretty close. He used the name Lee Richards. Well, it was Richard Lee McNair. And a false Social Security number, which was very close to his.
Detectives found a lot more than stolen property inside the unit. They also found shell casings used in the deadly grain elevator shooting.
This guy was saving trophies. He reminds me of a serial murderer. They'll always save a little trophy. They'll take it home. In this case, they'll put it in a storage shed.
Investigators brought McNair in for questioning and found that he was packing a loaded gun.
So he was handcuffed to a chair while the investigation was ongoing.
McNair knew he was going down for the murder, but he came up with a Houdini-like plan to slip away.
He reached over to a desk with 3 detectives sitting in the room, snuck some lip balm, and was able to slip the handcuff off.
McNair got a lucky break when he spotted a car with the keys left inside.
And finally, we found him up here in this building. He was seen going in upstairs.
He's on the roof. He's on the roof.
These are real pictures of McNair on the roof, snapped by a newspaper photographer. Even though he was surrounded, trapped on top of one of the tallest houses in town, McNair was not about to give up. Once again, the thrill seeker in him came out. In a daredevil move, he jumped from the roof to a nearby tree. But this time, luck wasn't on his side. He lost his footing and plunged 3 stories to the ground. It took a nearly broken back to stop McNair's run. In the summer of 1988, McNair pled guilty to murder. A judge sentenced him to life in prison and shipped him to the Bismarck State Penitentiary.
This is the east side of the West Cell House, 3rd floor, where Richard Lee McNair was housed in cell 88.
What kinds of things was he allowed to keep in this room?
He was in college classes. He worked for the Inside Times newspaper. So he would have had newspaper material in here, article material, and layout material, some of it in here.
McNair seemed to be a model prisoner, but 4 years later, he found a crack in the prison security and busted out. It took cops more than 9 months to track down the sociopathic killer. State officials didn't want to take any more chances with him, so McNair wound up at the more secure federal pen in Louisiana. But once again, the escape artist found the cracks in the system. This time, it took him 14 years. After this post-escape run-in with the law, McNair vanished. Cops had no idea where he'd gone until 3 weeks ago. That's when police in British Columbia pulled over a stolen vehicle. The driver took off on foot and escaped. The next night, those Canadian cops watched America's Most Wanted and learned that their runaway car thief was convicted killer Richard McNair. And look at what McNair left behind in the stolen car. These self-portraits in a digital camera. Police believe he's trying to make a fake ID, possibly a phony passport, that would let him go anywhere in the world, even back into the U.S. If you know where Richard McNair is hiding, call us right now at 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Go to AMW.com to see McNair's self-portraits, the dash cam video, and all of the other clues we have. We can't let this guy slip through the cracks. Now, we'll be right back with more from the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Stay with us.
Coming up, cops say the crew hitting this jewelry store is about to graduate from robbery to murder. Find out how this surveillance tape led police to a gang of cop killers and how you can help them round up the ringleader. And later, the FBI says this sexual predator is worth $100 million, and now they're willing to make you rich if you can find him.